All right, so today we've got Morgan Asbell, a local celebrity in Greenville.
Yeah.
She's a hair artist, a former pro in the service industry, and we're excited to sit down and just kind of talk about your experience downtown and your journey as an entrepreneur and how you got started. And
Yeah.
so let's start with what was your first job?
Ever?
Ever?
I was a lifeguard.
High school?
Yes. So I think 15.
Okay.
I did swim team growing up, so I was always at the pool and everything. And that was the first job I could get. First job ever was lifeguarding. And while I was doing that, summer came to an end. So I started working at the Olympian Grill at Five Forks. So I was a hostess as my real first job, I would say. Lifeguarding wasn't really anything because I was already at the pool all day anyways. So
Just getting paid to get tan.
that's right.
Okay. So first, what would you consider your first adult job?
My first adult job. I mean, I really did wait tables and do stuff. I didn't go to college right out of high school. I started Greenville Tech when I was 18. So I graduated in 2006 and just kind of kept, waiting tables like I had been, and started nursing school, and then got pregnant with my oldest son. And that was a whole lot of work at that time. So I just kind of did what I knew throughout that, and actually waited tables at Barley's Tap Room for about 2 years.
Josh Beebe.
Yes.
We love us some Barley.
It's actually going to be our first Tabbi launch site.
Yeah. Josh is a good people. I worked for him for several years, and that the Barley's family they're just
He's built something unique.
tight knit.
For sure.
Oh yeah. There's people that still work there.
Yeah.
I'm about to be 34. I was 19 and 20 when I worked there, and there's people that were working there 10 years before that are still there.
So for people who didn't grow up in Greenville, kind of describe what Barley's means to downtown Greenville.
To downtown Greenville, I mean, the beer selection says everything it needs to say for itself.
Right.
And that was kind of the first place that really did that here. But it's a staple. I mean, it was here, I guess, in the early 90s, maybe. And that was like the place. I mean, that was one of the bigger restaurants downtown. It wasn't, corporate. It wasn't anything. As Greenville started growing, I think that's one of the first very staple places that you went to. Best money I think I ever made on Friday lunches ever downtown, working anywhere.
Well, it's kind of the only place at the time, too. I mean, we talked to Josh on Tabbi Hour, and it was, he kind of got into the game before there was really much of anything downtown.
Yeah, he did, and has been doing it and doing it well for a long time now.
Yeah.
We still go there. We go to Trapdoor too, which is
Delicious.
Their sister restaurant, and smoked cigarettes and drank beer and all that down in the basement where
What
people
was it
eat
before
dinner
Trapdoor?
now. A basement.
Just nothing, right?
Nothing. Not a thing. I mean, it was creepy is what it was, for sure.
No, it's great now. I think that may be one of Brad's favorite places in Greenville.
Yeah.
We were there together the other night.
Love it.
Yep.
It's got the perfect ambiance for, if you want to feel like you're in a Belgian authentic pub. I mean, he did a nice job. I'll say.
Yes.
I've never been to Belgium,
and it
but I
hasn't
figured that's what
changed.
it looks like.
It really hasn't changed that much since then either. I mean, like minor, things that just like needed to be redone or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I want to say they had like the floors done or something like that, but that was 15 years ago,
Yeah.
We're not getting any younger.
So what is, I want to, you spent a significant amount of time bartending downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that could be a whole string of podcasts of its own of like stories from the bartender about all the things they see.
Well, I waited
Just a couple.
tables, I think, more than I bartended.
Okay.
Which means I saw more of the restaurant.
Right.
So that's an experience in itself. And I never really worked back of the house, but working front of the house, you see
You see it all.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So what's like one of the most strange kind of two people on a first date that you experienced and you were just like, oh, this is really awkward?
Well, so towards like my latter time of being in the service industry in that way, dating apps started, you know, kind of really coming to fruition. And it was like, okay, Plenty of Fish or Tinder or whatever. And I never experienced that personally, but seeing people out and
Awkward.
oh yeah, you're like, oh God. And then
Can you
realize,
tell that they just met?
oh, it's like, oh yeah, it's like the awkward, like, well, so, and then I read people, I feel energy, and I read people's faces, and you know,
You can
that's
tell.
just, oh yeah, my intuition is very much there, and it's like you're kind of looking at her like, you know, let me know if this is getting weird.
If you need a hot,
Blink twice.
Yeah, and now
extract,
there's
let me
like
know.
little things that everybody does, you know, like you said, blink twice or put this
There's like
fingernail
different
polish
drinks you can
on.
order.
Mm-hmm.
I found that out in the last couple of years. You can order a certain drink, and the bartender knows what that drink means,
Yep.
which is dope.
Get
Yep.
me out of here.
Yes, like help.
Used to be the drink was just a water, and they're like, all right, now you have to go because
They're
you're
like,
drinking.
what's wrong?
But
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, you saw it at the dawn of.
Oh yeah, and I'm nosy too, so
Oh,
like
yeah.
that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I would even get distracted sometimes. I feel like more into like, and I'm like, wait, I'm busy. Hold on, like hold that thought. Please don't continue this any further.
Well, because you almost feel like you're part of their experience,
yeah,
but then you're like, oh wait, I have all these other things I have to do.
exactly. And
So-
I'll talk. I mean, if I get on one thing, I go to another, and you know, doing hair, I talk to one person one-on-one all day, like, or you know, 3 people or whatever, 4 people, but for a significant amount of time. And I think, you know, that's really
Yeah.
all part of it. I said I'm nosy, but in the best way. Like,
So you're the most famous hair artist in Greenville,
ugh,
Again.
the most.
famous.
I'm telling y'all, I'm a fraud.
How did that start? How long have you been doing it? How did that journey start?
I've been doing hair about 6 years now. I foiled people's hair in high school at my mom's house, but that doesn't really count. State board would be upset if they
It's
knew I
illegal.
did that. Yeah. I didn't even make any money.
Couldn't lose your license if you didn't have one.
No. Exactly. But I actually started hair school. I think I was like 26. I went back as an adult. I've always been the artsy type and never really kind of knew where to go with all that.
Mhm.
And, you know, I started teasing my hair and using hairspray, and that's pretty much the only thing I cared about was what my hair looked like. I didn't wear makeup. I wore jeans and t-shirts in high school and stuff like that. But my hair was always on point, and other people would get me to do theirs. And one of my daycare teachers, Miss Nikki Harris, she actually owns, she has a studio in Malden. I'll think of the name of it, and it'll come to me probably later on randomly. But anyway, she would French braid my hair every day at daycare when I was in elementary school, and I would watch her. And then after, you know, a little bit of time, I was able to also do it. So I've been able to French braid since I was like 8 or 9, you know, did that
It's
all
funny how
through
that
school.
starts. It's just, you know, you didn't think you had it in you to do something like that. You just kind of started on your own.
Yeah, you don't
and
really,
you
it's
don't
like,
know.
oh, cool, I can do that. And yeah,
Yeah.
it feels cool. And people want you to do it. But
That's the
you
turning
never,
point when other people think you're good at it, right?
Yep.
And it's like, wait, I don't.
I should have been hustling at
Yeah.
9 years old.
Yeah. So you decided, I mean, you knew you wanted to do hair,
Nappy Roots
Yes.
Nappy
is the
Roots,
name of the
in
studio.
Malden.
Yes.
So you knew you wanted to do hair from an early age.
Yeah.
When did you actually start?
I didn't start hair school until 2015, I think.
Okay.
I worked at the Blood Connection. I was an apheresis tech for a little while I waited tables and bartended on the weekends. And just some things happened in life, and that wasn't really working out. So I kind of was at a point where I was like, you know, I need to do something. Like, I want to go back to school. I hate school. I hate paperwork. I hate, like,
Yeah.
I can't focus. I don't, it's not for me. Like, even in hair school, they had to pretty much be like, okay, you need to do this so that you can graduate because you are, you're ready. Just, you got to do the book work. And I mean, I passed state boards with flying colors and all that, but I just don't like, I could not sit at a desk all day kind of thing. And so I was always doing something other than that. And they had Paul Mitchell on Woodruff Road, and I just drove by one day and I was like, I'm going to go see if they'll talk to me. So I had an interview with admissions and stuff, and it went really well. And here I am.
How long is that process?
Well, for
to go through
me,
hair school?
for me, I started out doing day school, but I was working at the same time at night, and I kind of got burnt out. Again, like I said, it was like, plus I was 25, 26, going to school with people that had just graduated high school, and it's like 95% girls and, women. I mean, there was age range all across the board, but
So
for the most part,
working full time?
at night,
Yeah.
I was waiting tables. I was working at High Cotton at the time, in the evenings. So I had a full-time job. I had a son, and, I guess I'm good at getting burnt out sometimes, or just, I got to be doing something, and then it becomes like a whole lot, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I knew that hair was what I wanted to do, and I was good at it. It's like I had the knowledge, I just didn't have the tools yet, or vice versa, however you want to look at it.
How did you grow your customer base?
Well, I started out as a commission artist, and
What is that?
it's where you get a percentage of the total of the service that you provide, and the owner of the business, or the boss lady, gets the rest.
Kind of like a Sports Clips, or
Like a booth fee?
I think
Or no?
actually that those types of places, I think they get hourly,
Okay.
and then whatever tips they make on top of it. But when I was hired, I've been at the studio that I work at now it'll be 5 years in June.
Congrats.
So, thank you. Brandy Browning, she's a boss lady, and she's extremely, extremely talented at her job as well. But we sat down and kind of came to an agreement on a percentage,
Mhm.
and I pretty much did that for the first 3.5 years that I worked there, 4 years. And then it was time, I felt that I wanted to have my own business. So now I do booth rent, and, I have that every week that comes out. And, obviously there's other expenses and stuff like that too, but my money is my money, and
freedom?
yeah. Well, and it takes a little while to get there. It's not like I could just go into that immediately and expect all these clients to be there and then still have to pay that certain amount of booth rent a month or a week or whatever, with no clients. But if I was commission, if I had a certain amount of clients, I still got a certain amount of money. And if I didn't, it's not like I lost anything either.
Yeah.
But the goal obviously is to build. So it took me a couple years to do that, until I finally got in a place where I felt like it was time to make the next move within the same company.
Knowing what you know now, what would be advice you would give to somebody that was starting out in this?
And-
21-year-old you.
Whew.
Starting-
oh God,
starting
please go
to
back
go.
and pray for her. Like, man, I don't know. It's when you're 21, you think you know all the things. I feel like that kind of happens throughout life in certain
You
stages.
get humbled.
Yeah, you get humbled in ways that you never even thought you'd be humbled.
Yeah.
Be it
That's the
tragedy, be
20s
it
though.
drama, be
Yeah.
it, all kinds of things. Everybody's going through something.
Man.
So just lessons, not necessarily bad ones, but you got to grow from your past kind of thing. And it's working towards a goal. And that's something that it's like I never really set goals for myself. I kind of was just like, let me do this, and try to make it work. And it was not until
That's part of the process, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked off camera about coming from the service industry, going into, the hair artist.
Yes, like I said, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have been the same
Nope.
artist had you not been through that. So talk about that, because I think that's where, for those who are in the service industry, you leave and you think, well, I'm just a server, I'm just a
Nope.
bartender, but there's so many transferable skills that when you step out of the service industry, you're like, wow, I'm actually more prepared.
Oh, it built my character. It built my.
You take rejection really well.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
I know I do. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Somebody doesn't like their
Listen.
meal.
Yeah.
My therapist told
It's
me,
gonna be
she's
okay.
like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm going to say no. Or so and so is
yeah.
going to say no.
Yeah.
And then what? Then you figure out your next move. And
But you try.
turns out I was really good at that. So.
But as an entrepreneur, as a, an artist, like you have to think about it in that context of like, okay, there's going to be somebody that doesn't like.
For sure. There's
what I did.
definitely, and that, I mean, if you've ever waited on someone or made someone a drink and your rejection happens real fast sometimes, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that sucked. Cool. All right, I'll do better. But that's how it is,
Yeah.
It's like you realize real quickly that that person's happiness is not your responsibility. And there's some people that are never going to be happy.
Yeah.
So you just kind of got to take the knowledge that you have and do your best to.
But I think it works both ways too,
Yeah.
right? Because you can make somebody's day
Oh yeah.
in the service industry just like you can right now.
Oh,
You
for
make someone's
sure.
hair and they're like, wow, you made
You
them feel-
completely change their
Yeah.
person.
There's not too many industries that I think have that ability. I mean, if you work at like a bank or something, it's like,
Your interaction is very
it's very
swift.
sort of like,
And in
this
a
is
lot of cases,
transactional.
you're dealing with, and you don't do men's hair,
Not really.
but
no.
you're dealing with ladies on arguably their most important day of their life.
Oh,
you did
yeah.
my wife's hair for the wedding,
Yes.
and it's like that. So you get
no pressure.
You get to be a part.
It
of,
is though, and then that it's like anxiety and it follows you, but it's
Yeah.
also like
Makes
know what?
you perform too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gasoline.
So what percentage? I mean, wedding day stuff. You go to them.
Most of the time, yeah, unless it's more convenient for them to come to the studio. But most of the time, it works out better for everybody to be on location.
Yeah.
How many weddings do you do? I mean, do you do one a week? Do you
Um,
ever do 2 in a day? Like
I have 2 in a day coming up in March.
It's wedding season.
Yeah.
it's always
And
weddings.
it's
I know.
post. It's
Greenville.
It's post-COVID wedding season.
Yeah.
So now
All
it's
the
regular wedding
backlog.
season plus the past 2 years of weddings that people are trying to
Yeah.
rebook. And, hopefully it's very lucrative and fun for everybody.
Yeah. Well, so that you just reminded me of something. COVID.
Yep.
What
You forgot about COVID.
the hair? Well, I didn't forget about COVID, but the hair
Forgot
industry.
about Dre, y'all, the Super Bowl.
I mean,
Yes.
that was
Forgot
so
about
good. That was
COVID.
so good.
Yeah, that's good. Well played.
I like the beginning of COVID. I had some crazy hair going on.
Yeah.
I think I went like 4 months without a haircut.
Uh-huh.
So what was that like? Where were you at in kind of your professional life? And
Well, I didn't cut my hair one time during COVID, nor did I cover my grays. However, it was like we closed our studio, by the state mandate or whatever for 8 weeks, I think it was. So from March 18th, I want to say, to like the middle of May. And that's a long time for some people. And I mean, men's hair,
yeah.
men that keep up with their haircuts usually get their haircut every 2 weeks or so, every 3 weeks,
Every
depending
12
on.
days.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
every other Friday, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
But it's a date, and that's your self-care and
Yeah.
your self-love and something that you do for
So
yourself.
you were cutting hair. Well, there were people cutting hair in COVID. Not
Mhm.
you. I don't want to get you in trouble. But this is like the prohibition. Like it's like you had to
Yeah,
know somebody
it's like
to know somebody to
secret.
get
Like,
a haircut.
you got your scissors? Yes.
and you like roll up on somebody.
How much
and
you
be
want
like,
to spend on your haircut today?
There's like underground haircuts happening. It was wild.
I was managing Waffle Houses in Cincinnati, and I pulled into a parking lot, and I'll leave him unnamed. Somebody very high in the company was getting their haircut by the dumpster by a server that was a hairstylist.
Desperate times.
Yes.
These
This
were
is
desperate
I thought to
times.
myself, wow, this is something you never see.
Listen, this is pre-COVID, but I bartended at a popular taco joint that is now a franchise here, and I had a manager, and I love her dearly, but she would cut her own hair at home. We called it kitchen hair. And I call it kitchen hair no matter where you cut it. If it's in your bathroom, it's outside, it's in your kitchen. Typically there's wine or something
Of course.
involved. But
You always think it's going to look great.
people get really brave, and this is before like Brad Mondo and like TikTok. I mean, this was only a couple years ago, but really that stuff has blown up like hardcore in the last 2 years.
You wouldn't advise that.
I would bring I would have my shears with me in the car, and she'd be like,
Hey girl, hook it up.
"Hey girl, I done cut my hair last night, and I really need you to blend it out." And so we would go in the office, and I would trim up her hair for her.
What a saint.
How many
I don't know
times?
if I'd do that.
How
I'm
many
just like,
times?
you're gonna have to suffer.
I've done that multiple
You're
times
gonna have
with
to
multiple
suffer. You
people.
didn't come to
Had
me
to fix
first.
somebody else's mistake.
She does. She comes to the studio and gets her hair cut and stuff too. So it's not like I just did it at work, but
I've been to two. I've had 2 haircuts in the same day.
yeah.
One that was so bad
The makeup.
that I just went to like another place and was like, please fix this.
You don't have
Undo
to tell them I
this.
cut your hair, bro. I'm just kidding.
Morgan's like, that's
No,
that's
right
harsh.
now-
I've got a
I-
guy now.
Listen, I can do it. I just the fading and stuff. It's like I cut women's hair eyes closed all day. I know what I'm doing. Men's hair, I just
shout-
had more women, like female clientele in school, so I never had the experience or the practice. And you know,
Shout out to Gabriel at Liberty Fine Cuts. That
oh
guy.
yeah, I went to school with Josh.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
It's a community, right? Like hairdresser,
For the most
bartenders.
part, we know. Okay, well,
You guys know
bartending
each
community, I feel like is a little tighter. We have education forums and like chats and stuff on Facebook and social media for hair, but bringing it back to bartending in our downtown Greenville service
Is
industry.
there more? Is competition in hairdressing, right?
Yeah, but
More
it's
so than
like if
bartending.
you're truly, invested in your craft, you want your client or your canvas or whatever to be happy.
Yeah.
And if I can't get you in and somebody else can that I trust and know, and or I'll send somebody to somebody if I don't, if somebody's better at something than myself, like it's you have to be a little bit humble, obviously, like we were talking about, but you can't be greedy. Like it's you got to hustle and make money, and the more clients you have, the more whatever, but I'm not going to squeeze somebody in and not give them a something that I'm satisfied with or whatever if I know that I'm not going to be able to invest that time and energy or whatever. Like, sure, go see my girl. Like,
Is there like a minimum? Like it's got to be at least an hour. Like how much? Because you can't rush somebody's haircut, right? Is there like
right? And then sometimes there's people that come in and it's like, you have a whole lot of hair. I've never done your hair before. Like, I usually try to do some sort of consultation or have an idea of what I'm kind of walking into if I've never seen this person. I creep them on Facebook. Like, not like hardcore.
Oh, you do
or
your
anything.
homework.
But I mean, I want to know what this person looks like. Like I have a good 2 minutes to make you comfortable, find something that you're interested in, and get you to relax, because somebody doing your hair is a big thing.
I never noticed how seriously it can change the way somebody looks. I mean, I used to just trim my own beard or shave, and then
You have a
know,
nice
get it.
beard.
Well, again, Gabriel, it's like when you start shaping it, and you're the same way. You go get you gotta have like I'm
get a
scared to
shape
cut
up.
my own beard.
Yeah.
It's like it's getting long, but I'm not. I gotta.
No,
Wouldn't
I
dare.
clean Jake's neckline up, and but he goes to the black barber or the Puerto Rican barber, and that is the only. He's got thick hair, and that's the only person. He's got his like 3 dudes that he goes to.
Yeah.
I go to one barber. I go to a new city. I go to one barber,
Yeah.
and that's the only barber I go to.
And you do it before or after you travel. Never during.
Ooh, no, yeah. It's not. I don't. That's wing it.
Yeah.
You got to go
See,
before you leave.
We get people that wing it.
Nah.
I used to.
too
I used to be
risky.
a sports clip, wing it
risky.
on a Tuesday, just stop in. It's risky.
Yeah.
Get a different person every time.
But again, like I said, you got to make that person comfortable and trust you and your judgment and your skill, and you also kind of got to be cool. Like, you don't
Customer
want
retention.
Yes, you don't want to sit there and I talk a lot and I'm nosy, so I know questions to ask and stuff like that. But some people don't want to be talked to, and then
I was just thinking about it. Like you were saying, the parallels between bartending and hairdressing. So like if I go to the bar and I'm like, I want something to drink. It's like, okay, well that's a broad question. Just like if somebody comes to the salon and says, I want you to do my hair. Like, okay, well, what style do you like? So talk about that if you've got some examples. Like
for hair, for
well,
drinks.
for both. Like if someone shows up to a bar and they're like, you figure it out for me. Like, okay, well
right.
that's
So working at Barley's, like I have 2 things to point on that. Like a girl I worked with, there's this man that came in one time and he's like, well, give me what you like. What do you like to drink?
Classic.
And she's like,
Shirley Temple.
she looks at him and she says, "Sir, I prefer to sleep with men, so I don't know that our beer, oh God.
Beer preferences.
Yeah, preferences." I'm like, oh my God, what is that word? It did not come to me. I don't think our beer preferences would necessarily be the same, and she likes super hoppy beers. And this dude probably looked like, a good old Bud Light drinker and was obviously,
Why even try at that point? Just hand the guy
Barley's
Bud Light.
doesn't even have Bud Light.
Oh yeah, they don't.
So
Only good
I
beer.
get it. It's like, well, what do you like? It's kind of a different type of feel there because you have something that is similar to this or something that's similar to that. If this is what you normally drink, but
Bartenders judge you on what you drink, right? I've always thought that. Like every time I go to a bar, like if I get a Tito's and soda, I feel like I'm getting judged.
well, there's a difference between palate and preference, okay? Like
So true.
if you like the way something tastes, I feel like that's your drink, whatever. But different alcohols affect people differently. Sure. So, like myself, I feel like I don't metabolize straight up liquor anymore. I can have like a beer and a little bit of Prosecco and I'm fine. But if I take a shot or have any kind of liquor, I just don't. It is different for me now.
So you've got to be specific with your question, right?
Yeah.
If you go up to the bartender and you're like, "What's your favorite IPA on tap?" That's it. You can narrow that down for somebody.
Exactly.
But if they're just like, "Give me what do I want?"
And you're like, I don't know you from.
Man,
what do I want?
I would. It's a good
Well,
thing.
then
I'm
you
not
have
a
your witty
bartender.
comments back. You're like, well, that's a loaded question, or
I would just make the most random thing.
or give them something that tastes like shit, so they don't ask again.
Of course.
Right? Yeah.
I would
I'm
do
just
that.
kidding.
I would do that just
It's
'cause.
about hospitality.
So, kind of before we started filming, we ran through Tabbi. What as a professional in the service industry, what are some of the biggest advantages you see that Tabbi can provide for the user and for the bartender?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say on the business end, the goal is more people in the building, more tabs to be started, more drinks to be sold, more money to be made. Your bartenders and your servers are making more money, so
less time you're spending
at the computer. You're sitting there scrolling, trying to find, so and so's tab. So and so has 2 tabs. They got one with the bar, one with a server. It's like, okay, this is about 5 minutes wasted when I could have made 10 more drinks or a round of shots for $65, and I'm sitting here trying to find your $2 Bud Light tab that you could easily have on your phone. And then you could go meet your friends at the other bar down the street because you can see where they're.
Yeah. I think that, so. I mean, we didn't tell you the original idea. He was waiting in an Uber for me. I was standing at the bar waiting to close my tab for like 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And that happens all the time.
And they had the little card jail, the little Rolodex
and so you couldn't
jail.
even get your.
So my card, like I would have just walked out and left the 20% whatever, but it was like in the card jail. So I'm like, dude, there's got to be a better. And it was, how do we close a bar tab as easy as getting out of an Uber? Because there's no payment. It's just like
light bulb went
we
off,
could
and
create
then you're
this.
like, huh, cool.
Well, it's a pain point. I think it's a pain point everybody can relate to because we all go out, we have a good time, we're ready to go, and oftentimes you're ready to go before your server or bartender's able to get
for sure.
to you.
If I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go right then.
But it's also their, like, you could talk. We could all talk about how the night goes for the bartender or the server. It's like early on they're super excited, right? Because you're their table. But then throughout the night,
Well, you're hype. You've had your coffee. You've got yourself pumped up for your
but
shift. So
by the
it's all
time you're
good.
ready to go, they've got other tables. They've been sat, so like their focus is shifted somewhere else. So you become less of a priority at the point where you're ready to go. So now it's like you're at 2 different points.
Yep.
Like you're ready to go, and they're ready to.
You're ready for them to go.
You're ready for them to go.
And that's a skill learned in time too, to kind of balance that out. But then sometimes you just can't help it, and it's like, I'm really busy, and I just can't make it back to table 1 with the ranch. Like it just happened.
You just got triple sat.
Yeah.
You've got, you've done the refills. You've delivered the food. They've already got dessert. You've pre-bussed. It's like, now they still want. Now I have to handle.
It's like
this
when you
whole
walk up and
transaction.
someone's praying, and you're like, oh, I don't know what.
I
to
have all
do.
this food. What do I do?
I set it down gently.
I have 3 hands full. I'm in a hurry. I gotta
Right?
go.
You're like,
I
hurry
just
up,
start
bless
holding
it,
hands.
let's go.
There's 7 plates waiting in the kitchen.
God, I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Well, there's only stories you can relate to being in the service industry.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're dealing with so many different people, walks of life, you have to be kind of this
Yeah,
jack
and
of all
that's
trades.
one thing I'm super thankful for is, doing hair. Because of my service industry experience, can talk to not a
Never
very
been a
large group
stranger.
of people, but I could talk to
Yeah.
this many people and be cool. Like,
Yeah.
and be able to communicate with
Sure.
them and figure out, kind of how to navigate a conversation based on their interests and likes and wants and needs. And it's part of doing hair is the chemistry and the color and knowing what's going to look good and knowing, what this person likes, what this person doesn't like. And I would not know how to communicate with these people so efficiently to be on the same page had I not been learned on all different kinds of people and all
Sure.
different kinds of ways people behave, in public
Well,
first
you
and
pick
foremost.
up on things, right? Nuance, body language, all kinds
The
of stuff.
intuition, the energy is
For
there.
sure.
So it's like I'm skilled in reading a person within a few minutes, right? And sometimes when you're waiting tables, you have to do it quicker than that. And it's like the first thing this person says is going to set the mood for how the rest of the
Yeah, is
event
it
goes.
funny? Is it somber?
Mm-hmm.
You pick up on all that.
Well, and I've done everything from the dive bar to fine dining. So it's having to kind of switch roles like that. And then doing hair, I feel like it's like right in the middle. I have my clients that I know I need to tame myself a little with. And then I have my people that it's not, I wouldn't say gossip, but we're sitting there and like I'm giving them all the juice on what's
All
going
the
on with
tea.
me. And they're giving me the tea. It's like,
Yeah.
girl, what's happened in the last 6 weeks since I seen
Yeah.
you? And it's like this, and this, and this, and this. And it's like, what are you going to do? It's just in a more personal.
Well, it's your tribe. It's the
Yeah.
community you've built as
Yes.
an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You found something that brings value to the world that you really like to do,
Yep.
and you got really good at it, and then you built a community around it.
I'm so thankful for that community.
It's cool. It's bartenders do it. Obviously, I mean, anybody that's in some sort of providing a service
Yep.
to anybody,
It's service industry.
that's your family.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Oh, it puts food on my table for me
Yeah.
to take care of
your
my
actual family.
You
Yeah.
know, things happen and the budget goes haywire sometimes and people cancel. COVID. Like we just went through a whole nother round of that. And I'm telling you, if you did not have cancellations, be it restaurants or any type of service industry, definitely it hit us in the hair industry. It's like, you can't charge someone 50% of their service when they text you that morning and they're like, I have COVID. And it's like, oh, you better come in and get your hair done because I got to
Right.
pay my booth rent this week.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, well, then you got to figure out your next move and then rebudget and do all that. And it's a lot like waiting tables, whereas, you're not paid an hourly rate necessarily. You kind of have to put money back or, certain amount, take certain amount from whatever you make in that day or that week and put it towards bills. And then the rest is over here. And then this is your spending or going out money. Like it's,
Yeah.
I always thought of waiting tables as I'm running a business within somebody else's business.
Yep.
So in that sense, I can
the higher
basically-
sales I
yeah,
get for this person,
for
the more
sure.
percentage
have-
of tips.
Absolutely. I run my business, and you could come to the same restaurant on the same busy night and have two totally different experiences based
Yep.
on your server,
100%.
based on your bar. And I think that's, you learn, I don't know if that's a leap to entrepreneurship, but it does instill in
takes
you
all
that
kinds of
you
kinds.
have to produce. Like
Yeah.
You have to make it happen. Because
Yep.
you could, that's the same menu, it's the same specials.
Right. Well,
But you
when
make
you go
$200
somewhere
the
and you
other
can tell
person.
your servers they're pissed, something happened that day, and they're just like the look on their faces that they don't want to be there.
I would transform at that swing door.
Yeah, you're like
swing door, I'd turn
"Ooh,
into a different
gotta
person."
Gotta go.
I'm
Yeah.
like, boom.
and that's a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes you a
everything
professional.
ends right there at the door.
Well, it has to. It's like waiting, right? That's like the classic movie. But
Yes. Oh
you
my
know,
God.
It's like if you're in the service industry, you can relate.
Yeah.
But it's true. You deal with it, and you're
Look
able
at Ryan Reynolds now.
unrecognizable.
Yeah. What was your favorite bar downtown to work at?
Whew.
You were at
Honest-
Barley's for a long time.
Yeah.
But
Well, comparatively, I was at Barley's for a couple years. I didn't bartend there. I waited tables.
I keep saying bartend, but
I
yeah.
know, but
the
I mean,
service, yeah.
if you know, you know. Like
Yeah.
it just is what it is. I worked at City Tavern for the longest, off and on since 2009. It's 2022 now. So, I mean, they'll always be like family. And I really do feel like if you've worked somewhere downtown and you've put that much time and energy into a place, be it making yourself money or for your company, I mean, you're showing face. Like, regardless, you're the face of that establishment at that time in that position. So I've built tons of relationships with regulars and people over the years, even if I didn't work there for a whole year, and I'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" I'm like, "I'm back. It's cool." Like, but
you're more the face of the business than the owner, than the chef, than the anything.
Right.
And you're the face to the customer.
Again, like with doing hair, I'm the first person you see or the first person that you encounter other than a hostess or whatever. But again, that was my first job. So I kind of got broken into that aspect of it at a very early age when I didn't understand anything about, it was like, okay, take these people to this table. And then you get pissed off if somebody's not like doing it efficiently. And you're like, okay, like you get like your bearings about it. And then you move up a little bit and you wait tables because I take that back. There are tons of elder to me hostesses that kill it now. But you move up. You don't necessarily want to make this hourly in tips anymore. You want to be on the floor making as much money as possible because you set that for yourself.
You had me thinking about how I'd, with the hostess, they're usually like high schoolers or college.
That's exactly what I was.
You'd give them a 20 and be like, "Hey, don't seat me after a certain time," or you just keep all your tables dirty.
Right? Like, can you skip me? I need to go smoke.
Like,
and it's
I don't have
okay,
time. Like, I'm
or
trying
my
to get out of
stomach
here.
hurts. Like, I go to the bathroom. Can you please check all my tables?
Or like,
and make
here,
sure?
roll my silverware.
Yes.
I'll give you $20.
Oh my God! And
and I don't have to roll it when I leave.
Listen,
That was my trick. I was like, I hate rolling.
I paid
silverware.
people to take out the trash.
Girl,
I would,
what?
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that. Couldn't do it. I was like, I don't.
Cleaning out.
I'm a business owner.
I'm a business owner here. I'm running a business. You're my employee. It's like, no, she's not.
Which
But
suited you well to end up in management.
It kind of, what is funny? So Jeremy and Chris were here from Society, and one of the things that I talked to them. It was on camera or off camera. It was like, the service industry should be like mandatory, like 2 years of hard labor. Just like in Israel, you have to go to the military for 2 years. Like, I think everybody should have to go.
You got to get your street creds.
Well, it's so humbling because you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about society. Like, I think that I'm not advocating for that, but I just I kind of am.
One Sunday brunch, everybody should have to experience.
Humble.
Oh man,
it's rough.
When at a certain restaurant that I worked at, that we had to work Sunday brunches every time we clock out or hand in our checkouts on Saturday nights, he would say, "Please make good choices," because we'd all go out on.
I need you to work
safety brief.
Right? Like, can y'all please be here before? Have y'all seen the episode of The Restaurant where they're doing the lineup or whatever, but it then goes back to everybody, or there's like 3 people and they're smoking out in the alley or whatever, and the guy's like, no, it makes me really paranoid. I can't do it. And they're like, no, just do it, just hit it, whatever. And so then they go back in and he's like, and the manager's like asking the questions and he's like, can you tell me about the special? And he's like, don't call me.
Of course you get called.
And he's like, it's really good. It's really good. It's good. And at the very end of it, after, a couple more of those little banter type things, it's like, one more thing. I'm going to have to ask you guys not to get really stoned before you come to work anymore. And then this kid raises his hand and he's like, well, last week you said we couldn't drink before work. So which one is it? Like,
both.
But it's,
both.
I mean,
you can't do either.
No fun.
But the service industry, I mean, it is like the relationships you have is you're in the trenches, right? So you see your piece.
You see
right?
people
every
at their
week.
true colors.
Oh my God, what? You see them at their worst, at their best.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite night to go out to this day is like Sunday nights, right?
When everybody's winding down from getting their booties kicked.
Service
all
is
weekend.
Sunday night is that's when I go out because you just know you're gonna meet the bartenders, you're gonna meet the service industry folks who are out after getting their ass kicked for 2 nights, and they're gonna have the best stories. You're gonna have the most laughs.
Yo, you should go out tonight because yesterday was Valentine's.
Yeah,
so now everybody's celebrating tonight.
I might, but it's there's nothing like it.
No, and you build those relationships with these. I mean, I've had friends. Excuse me. I've had friends for 15 years now that are my lifelong friends. you see it all. You learn who people are. You learn a whole lot about yourself. And my son will be 14 in April, and he can either A, work at the Publix, or B, work at the Chick-fil-A. And he wants a job so bad.
Yeah.
He's dying. And I'm like, you know, Publix, you can just walk there. But like Chick-fil-A, either way, it's your first step into service and being around the public and being around people. And, you know, I'd be fine with him working at either. But it's like, if he's going to learn a whole lot.
Yeah,
But
it's a lesson in life.
it really is. And I want that for him.
I mean, Josh Beebe's first job, I mean, it always starts there. He was a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Right?
And you work your way up.
I was the owner of multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, Morgan, thanks for
Yeah, of course.
thanks for coming
It
and
was
joining us
super
on
awesome
Tabby Hour.
chatting.
Yeah,
Glad you
super
stopped by.
Yeah.
great to get to know you a little bit, and we'll have
Yeah.
to have you come back.
Yay. I look forward to it. Thank you
Awesome.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.